Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 2 of Making a Minigame with Mad Bison. And today, if you can't already tell, we have Archery. And over here are the instructions. Press the button on the wall. Next, shoot the buttons. There are 4 targets in each of the 3 levels. Hit each target to move on to the next level. The next level has a new challenge. If you get stuck, press the button to skip the level. Skipping will add time to your final time. By the way, you are being timed. P.S. There are combinations to pass the level faster. So we're going to jump right in and get started. So now I want to shoot these green things. Let me just shoot those all down. Okay, so now we're on level 2. I have 4 targets. I have 5 arrows in my quiver now. Oh, I just wasted an arrow because I didn't think it shot. So I'm going to have to accept a fail on this one. I guess not. Okay, so now there's a barrier right there, as you can see. I have to wait for the barrier to go away and then shoot. So the barrier's away, so now shoot, and I made it. So now I'm losing arrows. So I need to shoot fast. And I had 0 fails, and I did it in 31 seconds. And then I press this to go back to spawn. So that right there was the game. So now let me start explaining the mechanics. So those didn't load. Okay. Anyway, so to begin, I have these back here as test for, as actually set the scoreboard players to objective 1, 2, 1. And then we have 2, 3, and 4 all right here. And those are all like objectives. I can't list them, so I'm removed now. And it tests for those scores. And when it tests for those scores, it sends it through and kills all the arrows. It sets that block to air, and then it sets the block right in front to Minecraft wall, which sets it to red wall, and then it shows that it's been shot. Like, you've seen that. But then down here, when it tests for when it gets triggered, it goes to 2 AND gates. Right there, there's one, there's one. Then it goes around to around here, which says you beat level 1. Set the scoreboard to archery 1. Sets the block to air, sets the block to air, sets the block to air, sets all those blocks over there to air. Sets your objectives of 1, 2, 3, and 4 back to 0. And by the way, we have a room built over there for it anyway. Sets it back to 0, and then sets those in front, like sets these blocks back to wall and buttons, so you can play again. And then it teleports us here, and first thing is this is how it says archery score, and the arrows in your quiver, all that stuff is all through these command blocks. And then it gives you a bow, an arrow, and then says, must wait for the barrier to go away. And then up here is, the same test for going all through those, changing those to red, that's the same exact thing. And gate going around to here, which is a reset line, same thing, you'd be level 2, archery, all that stuff. Teleports you, clears, sets all that back to 0, and gets ready for the next level. But the new thing is the fails. So when you press the fails button, it goes around, sets your fails to 1, adds your fails to 1, gives you 5 arrows again. And that's cool on that, and then it goes through here and, resets all that. And then that's the reset for the buttons and air and stuff. And then right here is the barrier. And what happens is it tests for archery 2 in that command block. So it tests for archery score of 1, actually, in that command block. And then it pushes out the piston, and then it gets power from right here when the archery score is 1, and then it goes around, and it goes to this corner command block, which sets everything to wall, which sets the barrier around, sets the barrier up, and then goes all the way around here, and then goes this and sets it back to air. And that's how level 2 and the barrier work and all that stuff. And then level 3 is same thing with the test for. of the score, same thing. Going back around here through the AND gates, but then it has a lot more that it removes. Like all this stuff is all stuff that it removes. And it sets everything back to the score of 0, like obviously like it always does. Sets 1, 2, 3, and 4 back to the score of 0. It sets these blocks back to wall right here, those 3 back to wall. And then over here, it says you finish the game with the amount of fails, removes the objectives of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Removes the objective of arrows and archery. And then over here is when it removes the objective of archery. And it also clears the inventory and it sets the display of your time in the sidebar. And down here is how the losing arrows work. And what happens is it tests for the score of archery to be 2. And then it sends a pulse through. Same thing with this, by the way. And it sends a pulse through and then, powers this piston. And then it goes around and, Minecraft's wall, places all that. And it's raining. And then it comes around here. And then goes to here. It sets that to wall. And then it says players add 1 to the arrow score of the scoreboard. And then it says you lost an arrow. And then around here, it sets everything back to air. So with that, and then over here when it says the score to 1 the arrow, it's like, this is how many arrows you have. And then it clears all of your arrows. So this is the score of 1. So say you just lost an arrow. See how it cleared all my, and then it clears the arrows and gives me 4 back. Which is cool. So then if I do scoreboard, players set arrows, set to arrows to 2, it goes to that, removes my arrows, and gives me 3 back. And it does that all the way through, so on, till the end here. And then it says you just lost all your arrows. It sets your archery score to 0. It sets your arrow score to 0. Clears all your arrows, and then clears your inventory. And then you're forced to press the button up here. And then when you press the button, it scoreboard sets 1 to fail, sets displayed objective fails, and it is enough delay there, and then it sets your sidebar of your time. So that is how all 3 levels work. But now we have one last thing that we need to do, and that's when you initially press the button. So it adds all 4 objectives, 1, 2, 3, 4. Adds 4, adds 3, adds 2, adds 1. Here it adds archery, adds arrows, adds fails, and it adds time. And from time, it sets the time in the sidebar. And then it, starts the timing sequence, which is exactly a second, which then goes to add time 1. And then over here is how it adds time to your score. So if you press the fail button, it's going to add time to your score, to your final score. So then you can compete with your friends and see who can get the fastest. How that works is test for it at all, score fails minimum 1, and if that's true, then it goes to this command block and adds 10 to your time. This is test for score minimum 2, and it does that, it adds 10 to your time. So that is how that works, and that's how the game works. So here's the rules by the way, I again do not have a map download of this yet. I will get one when I have more games going. But at this point, thanks for watching, and I will see you in episode 3. Goodbye.